Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Lees. I'm probably the most excited I've ever been to interview somebody as I am right now. I'm sat with Andrew Tate. Now, if you don't know Andrew Tate, he's right now a massive sensation all across social media. He is a multi-millionaire. I think that anyone that's made millions of pounds from scratch, you've got to listen to them. Even if you don't agree with everything they say, you've got to just listen to them and see their perspective and understand things. He's a champion kickboxer. And he's also just a very well-known media personality. And Andrew, thank you so much for coming down to the studio.
Bro, thanks for having me.
We probably disagree on a lot of stuff.
That's going to be very uncomfortable for me. I'm not used to disagreeing with people. I'm such a soft-spoken, kind man. It's not very usual people disagree with me, so this is going to be a unique experience.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure it will be. Yeah. But in all seriousness, there's also a lot that we will agree on. We're both self-made millionaires.
Yep.
We both hate the universities,
yep.
the schooling system,
yep.
put money in the bank,
yep.
all that stuff.
Yep.
But then there's also a lot of stuff we're going to probably disagree on. Why don't you just start by just telling us a little bit of an introduction, a background as to who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm English, my friend. A lot of people seem to think I'm from some far-flung, unique destination. I'm from Luton. I'm English. So I'm English, British passport. My father was American, but I was born in America. I spent a few years there, but I was raised in England. I was raised in Luton, and now I spend most of my time in Dubai, Eastern Europe, between one of those two. Poland, Czech Republic, Romania, those kind of countries are my stomping grounds. So that's where I spend most of my time, but I dart in and out of London now and again.
Yeah. Well, I was looking to catch you,
Yeah, you caught me.
You came in on a private jet, and you're here for 2 days.
That's right.
And then I was like, man, I'm gonna get him while he's here.
Yeah.
So, home to you then. Where is home?
Home is Romania. I guess it's either Romania or Dubai. I love both of them for different reasons. But truthfully, I'm quite nomadic. I'm always moving around. I have lots of different lives in lots of different places.
Yes.
I kind of feel like an avatar. I'm like an avatar that has to plug into different lives that have been created. In Dubai, I have a house and a car and a girlfriend and a barber. I have an entire life, right? And I plug into the Dubai life, and then I go to London and I plug into another one. There's the same story. And
another girlfriend in London.
I shouldn't have said that on camera. Barber, house, car. But then I'm plugging into all these different lives, right?
Wow.
And then when I'm in the London life, everything's fine, but things start to deteriorate in Dubai or Bucharest or Warsaw or whatever, and I get anxious and I feel like, I need to go fix things over there, et cetera, because I'm making money in all these different places as well. I got banking, I've got all these things going on in all these different places. So yeah, it's kind of unusual, whereas the richer I get, the more I just jump around the planet. It's just like I can't seem to slow down. To keep on track of everything is, like you said, private jet, 1 day, 2 days, 3 hours, boom, boom, boom.
Where did you make your first million? Like, how did you make your first million?
It's a good question. Yeah, so I tried to make money for a very long time. I want to make this very clear before I start about the first million, because I think a lot of people who say they've tried to make money, I don't know how hard they've really tried. I can tell you that it's all I tried to do. I wanted to be rich so bad, so badly, because I thought it was the key to freedom. And in some ways it is, but we're going to get into that a bit later when we talk about some other things, because money can also trap you in a lot of ways. But I always wanted to be free. I always wanted to break free of the matrix. I could never just stand the idea of living a life which was escapist, because I think a lot of people can be escapist. They say, I don't want the 9 to 5, so I'm going to go to Bali. Yeah, but how long are you going to be in Bali for, and your money's going to run out? And then you're going to go home. That's just escapism, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be escapist. I wanted to create a reality which I was happy to live within. And I didn't like the rules of society and the constraints and stuff. So I always really badly wanted to be rich. And I tried to do a lot of different things to make money. I tried to do a lot of different things. In the end, I made my first millions with a webcam studio. I had pretty girls on the internet talking on a computer to guys in America somewhere. Kind of like a chat line. You know those chat lines?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, and that's where the first million came from.
So they were buying what, like
time?
Kind of
talking. Yeah, they were talking.
Right.
It was all. Everyone seems to think I was this horrible, seedy pimp. It's absolutely not the case. It was an office.
Right.
There was girls on their computer in the office, just having nice conversations with some lonely dude in Idaho. It was a very, very professional business.
And that made you your first million.
That made me my first million.
Wow.
So I may as well give you a bit of the background. So I'm a professional kickboxer. I was kickboxing world champion, and fighting is great. And obviously I was in love with fighting for a very long time, but kickboxing's not boxing. You don't make huge sums of money. By the time you pay your manager and you fight twice a year and you got to pay your rent for the year and your training and you got to eat right and your car, et cetera, you're not a rich individual. So even when I was making money with fighting, I had money, but I certainly wasn't rich. And I was trying to do lots of different other things on the side. I was trying to start lots of businesses, etc. But it's very difficult to, in fact, I'm going to take that back. I used to think it was very difficult to make money. Now I think it's the opposite. Now I think it's so easy to make money. It's ridiculous. But I used to think it was very, very difficult to make money. And I was trying to find a way that I could make money from nothing, from thin air. Because this is what most people's problem is. They're trying to start and they're saying, well, I have nothing to start with. I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. I don't have any friends who have money. So how do I start making money? And that's kind of how the webcam business all came about. I knew some very beautiful girls, and I just stumbled across this website where girls were talking to guys, and I said to the girls, look, why don't we sit down and let's put a business together. I'll handle the tech and the tax and all that boring stuff, and you just sit there and chat away. And that's the very, very simple version. There's a much longer version of the story online somewhere else already. If someone wants to find it, it's a very, very simple version of how I put together a webcam studio, and that's how I first started to make serious money.
So that's how you started to make money. You don't do that business anymore.
No, I stopped that like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah.
So what would you say your main business is now? Where's the money coming from? Because we can see there's a lot of it from the lifestyle, but where's the money coming from?
That's a good question. So there's a few different things I do now. One, I have some casinos in Romania. I own some casinos, which is one of the things I do. But Corona put a little bit of a nail in that. And I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but every chance I get, I love to state the fact that that was the biggest scam in the history of man. And I don't know if we're going to allow this to stay online, but the overreaction from the governments is way past criminal. The things they did to people and the things people had to suffer under the guise of protection and health and safety is literally criminal. There's people who should be in jail right now. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because we're going to talk about this later when we get into property. Yeah. So there's all that Corona thing happened with the casinos. And then I have a very large online presence. I have a very big digital presence. I own a network called The War Room. I'll tell you a really quick story without wanting to talk too much. But when I was poor, and when I say poor, I grew up in a council estate in Luton. So effectively I was poor. When I was poor, I had this idea that once I made money, I'd meet all the other important rich people. And all the other important rich people would just be like this group of Avengers, and we'd like skirt the rules and nothing would apply to us. And we'd be like international with multiple passports and offshore banking and all this. And you just become like a different character in the video game. Like you become Neo outside of the Matrix. And then I started to make a bunch of money, and I realized that that's not the case. A lot of people with money are very, very much stuck in the Matrix. They're very, very scared of the tax man and their accountant, and they have to do what they have to be, you know, at this place at this time, and they can't lose the wife because she'll take half the wealth. And most men who have money are completely and utterly trapped. So because I couldn't find these men, even though I managed to become one myself, I created an organization called The War Room. And The War Room has now got 1,700 members, and we're all very, very wealthy. And that's exactly what we are. We're people who are looking to live outside of the constraints of society. And we do that in a very legal way. But we live outside of the constraints of society, and there's lots of ways you can do it. I'll give a very simple example. When you join The War Room, we have a protocol and systems in place that allow people to achieve multiple residencies, lots of different passports. So Corona was a perfect example of when everyone was locked in their house, and I was flying around the world. And everyone said, how do you keep traveling during Corona? We're not allowed to travel. I said, no. The British are not allowed to go here, but the Estonians are. And luckily, I'm Estonian today. Like, if you can whip out 9 different passports, you can do whatever you want, right? It puts you outside of the jurisdiction of one particular government. So that's what The War Room is. So I have the War Room Network, which is on CobraTate.com. That's one of the things I do. And the other thing I do is Hustlers University, which teaches people how to make money online. So we have 18 different professors with 18 different subjects, which teach specifically modern wealth creation methods. Your wealth creation methods work. They're time tested. They certainly work. I can't sit here and honestly say that property won't make someone rich, because it will. But there's also new ways now, and there's new things that have come about in the very most recent weeks and most recent months and years, and that's what we teach inside of Hustlers University. So between those two things, and teaching and the network and having some very powerful friends, I do okay. I have enough money for food. Yeah. I can afford dinner, so I'm doing all right.
What's your net worth? Roughly. I know you don't, unless you sell everything, it's impossible to know, and it changes every day.
How do you judge net worth? This is another thing. How do you judge net worth, right? Because when someone asks me how much money I have, I will state the amount of cash I have, let's say, in the bank, right?
Well, that's not net worth, though.
That's not net worth. No, exactly. So, but then if I start taking into consideration all my property and my cars and all the property in all the different countries, and then do I value my businesses? Let's say I have a business that makes me $100,000 a week, let's say. What's the multiplier on that? That can be a 5x multiplier.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like if I add it all up, depending on how you do the accounting, I
Right.
could have a net worth of 50, 60 M, or I could depends how I want to do it. So
Yeah.
this is why it's kind of a misleading thing. I've always found it a bit misleading because everyone kind of calculates it different ways.
Yeah.
You
can get it valued though. You can get your everything valued. Not that you should. It's probably an ego thing anyway.
It is.
I got my net worth valued in 2020.
Yeah.
And everything was I felt downvalued.
Yeah.
But I was quite happy.
Yeah.
With the outcome.
Yeah.
It came at 16 million.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right. Unless you sell everything, and also it changes, especially if you've got like cryptocurrencies and stuff.
Changes by the day.
It does.
Yeah.
It changes by the day. The thing that people ask me all the time is how many properties do I own?
Yeah.
But that's, again, it sounds like I'm trying to not answer the question, but it's like, well, I've got pieces of land.
Yeah.
I've got properties that are a castle, which I've got actually broken up into lots of apartments.
Yeah.
Is it 1? Is it 20?
Yeah, that's right.
I've got joint ventures. I've got properties I control. It's not a straightforward, I own 100 houses.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same with net worth, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's exactly it. And you're right. Unless you sell it all, it's very, very hard to know. And also it depends on the multiplier you can apply to businesses. It also depends, like you're saying, even a property. If it's a rental income, now it's a company and you can put a multiplier on it and all these different things. So there's lots of different ways to calculate it. There's a really good saying which absolutely applies. And it says, if you know what you've got, you ain't got much. Because when I was poor, I knew exactly what I had. I had 221 pounds in a NatWest. I knew exactly what I had.
Yeah.
And now if you were to ask me how much money I have, I don't know. I don't know.
But it's in the millions.
There's money. Yeah, there's money. It's in the millions. I can get whatever I want anytime I want it, but I don't know how much money I have. I couldn't sit here and tell you a number. I don't know.
Yeah. Question for you then. What is it that drives you today? Because when you're broke, you just want to be rich so that you can live a more comfortable life. You can have choices. You've made us enough money now to fly private, to have a £450,000 car. In fact, loads of cars. You've clearly made
26 cars.
26 cars. There we go. You wouldn't let me let go. I've just seen one of them, and it's worth about $500,000.
Yeah.
But you've made enough money now to have the freedom that most people desire. So what is it now that's driving you to continue hustling?
But that's the thing. This is the exact point, is that I thought that being rich would make me feel free, and then I became rich and realized that I was still constrained by so many things. Money will buy you some freedom, and it's kind of like the carrot they dangle over the masses, saying, if you get rich, you'll be happy because you'll be free. But if you're perspicacious enough and you're intelligent enough, when you get to the top, you will look around you and realize you're still not free. And I am still looking for the same thing I was always looking for, which is freedom. And to have freedom, you need to have power and you need to have influence. The truth of the world is that if you want to be a free individual, you need to exist outside of the constraints which have been applied to society primarily to keep the society functioning. It's like speed limits, right? The reason they make the speed limit 30 miles an hour is not because everyone needs to drive at 30. It's because some people need to drive at 30. There are members of society which are just a little bit slow and a little bit dumb, and they don't drive very well. And they have to make a blanket rule for everybody. They can't say, well, the smarter people can do 50 and the stupid people do 30. It's too hard to enforce. So they have to look at the entire group, and the entire group can only move as fast as the slowest member. Who's the most stupid member of society that will get a driver's license? Okay, this person. Will they crash at 40? Probably. At 30? No. So now everyone has to go 30 because of the one idiot. This is how society works, right? And as I got rich and as I got more powerful, I've realized that all rules are like this. Every single rule they make is like this. It's designed with the most stupid, basic, average people in mind, the most low IQ, uninteresting, the most dullard individuals are the people who are dictating the pace at which life is lived if you're a peasant or a peon amongst the system which is bestowed upon you by the elites. And I refuse to do that. Every single person who is truly free on this planet ignores the laws and they ignore the rules because the rules are not made for them. The rules are made for the people they see as below them. And as I got money, I started to make money and everything was fine. And then I realized I need a whole bunch more and a whole bunch of power and a whole bunch of influence to escape the laws. That's what I'm really trying to do. And when I say escape the laws, I don't mean murder people. I mean walk around without a mask on because I decided not to, or fly where I want to, regardless of some stupid restriction, or drive or enjoy my car. I want to drive my car, and it's a very fast car, and I don't care what the speed limit is. I want to enjoy my car at the speed I want to enjoy it at. And all of this can be done with enough power and enough influence. But money's only the start of that. Then you have to network. Then you have to make powerful friends. Then you need to, you need to be, it's kind of crazy to me. You know what's crazy to me? I started at the very, very bottom, right? Now I'm at pretty high up. Like I just bought a Bugatti. So when I bought my Bugatti, I went to the Bugatti dinner. There was a dinner for Bugatti owners. I'm sitting there with a Russian oligarch and a sheikh and like this other guy worth 400M and all these Bugatti owners and me. And I'm sitting there. And it's so interesting to me that I went from conversations on a council estate with like 4 or 5 of my boys in Luton up to like Bugatti owners and 4 or 5. And I've listened to every conversation all along the way. And once you get up to the top, there's a lot of conversation very much about the fact that the best thing about being rich is just ignoring the law. That's the whole point of being rich for these people. That's the whole point of it. And people don't seem to understand this. They seem to think that the reason they think this is because they're told this, because the lie is purported to keep the peasants in check. Because if the people who were genuinely doing the real hard work out here understood how much the people at the top ignore every single restriction in law, there'd be mass riots near overnight. These people they do whatever they want. If the punishment for a crime is a fine, then the activity is legal for a price.
Right. Well, the thing is when you're parking, when you get parking tickets. Sometimes I think, well, the fine is £25. It's going to cost me £5 to pay for the parking. Yeah. The time it's going to take me to pay, I'd rather just take the risk and get the fine.
That's right.
And it's the same on a larger scale.
You can extrapolate that out. So look at a bank. Look at when a bank decides to do some malpractice and make $1 billion and then pay a $200 million fine. Yeah, and this money, where does this money come from? Well, it's either created by the Fed, which inflates the currency and damages the normal taxpayer, or it's added to the national debt, so the taxes go up, which damages the normal taxpayer, or it's taken from normal taxpayers. Like, these are people, a bank doesn't just generate $400 million from the sky. No, it takes it from all of these people at the bottom, all of them. And then they're sitting there going to the grocery store going, oh, groceries are getting expensive, but maybe if I vote for this guy, he'll save me. It's all a con. It's all a lie. You're either powerful and important or you're not. And the way you become powerful and important is one, wealth. Money helps. Yeah. But as I've got rich, I've realized that's not enough. You need to have very, very powerful friends. There's a reason why governments lobby. There's a reason why rich people support political parties. There's a reason why these governments, these companies throw money towards governments and lobby, especially in the United States. Yeah, because you're trying to buy power. Yeah. That's all it's really about. I didn't want to be rich. I wanted to be powerful. I'm rich now. I have enough money to do whatever I want. Yeah, fine. That's great. But there's no such thing as enough power. I have quite a lot of power. I would like to consider myself a very powerful individual. I'd certainly be a very, very dangerous enemy. But you can never get enough of that. So this is what drives me. To answer your question, this is what drives me.
It's power.
It's power, because I think that's what every man intrinsically desires. If every man's totally honest with himself, I think we've all evolved to sense and seek power. I think this is the reason why we train in the gym. It's the reason we try and get money. It's the reason we try and show status. It's the reason why men of old used to walk around with swords and just kill anyone who was in their way. For power. This is who we are, right? And this is the same thing that men do now, but it's on a fiscal financial battleground. This is why men are more motivated to work so hard and get rich than females on average, because men want to feel powerful. Women, they don't care.